I believe that there should be an option for you if you want to buy a luxury truck. Why not? You want to buy your GMC? GMC was supposed to be, I guess, more of the luxurious option of Chevy. Ford is Ford. Ford, they do what Ford does. They're just big and clunky, and it's a work truck, kinda. Not nowadays, not really. So Ford, Chevy, Dodge. Uh, can you even buy a base model anymore? Because to be honest, I don't really think you can. So, what was it? I was reading something, and one of it was like the leading in it was either leading in manufacturing or leading in design team, female. She was talking about, it was an article about it. She was talking about how trucks aren't luxurious enough. And when I heard about that, I'm gonna be honest, I thought that was the stupidest fucking thing I've ever heard in my entire life. What do you mean trucks aren't luxurious enough? Trucks were never intended to be luxury vehicles, ever. Trucks are always meant to be for the working class, for the working man. Trucks were timeless. You can go back a couple years and trucks would still be timeless. My girlfriend just got a 2018. She traded in her car, and because she wanted a truck. I think trucks are more useful, so we got a truck. She got a 20. I think it was an 18 Ram 2500. 6.4 Hemi. It was an even trade, and she ended up picking it up. Great truck, decent engine as long as you take care of it. You don't let it idle for a million years. Just a great truck. It's planned obsolete. It has very low tech cloth seats. There's not a whole lot going on. Column shift, even though it's probably an electronically actuated column shift. I'm not really too sure. It's got some type of a manual four-wheel drive instead of the switch knob. I'm sure that's electronically actuated as well. Just you have the manual analog stick. And I mean, it's bare bones for the time. It's not that bad. You move in the future a year or two, okay, now we're kind of getting more luxurious with our Dodge Ram. I feel like we're missing the point. Do we need tailgates that lower down and make a ladder and have a bunch of food compartments in them, and you can put your cigarettes in it, and you can just open it up into a whole toolbox and it'll transform like Optimus Prime? Or can we just fucking open a tailgate and have it be a tailgate? I don't think anybody had a problem with the way tailgates were before. Why are we reinventing the tailgate or reinventing the wheel? I'm not sure I understand. You want to have progress, right? Which is perfectly fine. You want to have a multi-layer tailgate, okay, fine. But one thing you need to think about is okay, so somebody rear ends you and you got to replace your tailgate. Well, the tailgate that goes on your truck is worth 3 times more than the original tailgate that was on it. So when it breaks or something happens, you have to pay for it, and it's going to cost 3 times as much. Now, that's not a problem if it was costing 1 for 1, but the technology is getting more advanced, and everyone's like, oh, yes, the future, innovation, yeah. Well, here's the thing. The money's got to come from somewhere. Something happens to these trucks, who's going to pay to fix them? It's going to be, it's getting to, and this isn't just over a tailgate, but the whole premise and idea of it is planned obsolescence. Because you're going to look at your car and you're going to go, it's not worth me fixing it for the amount of miles that I have on it, and I'm just going to buy a new car. And that's the problem, is we're going to get into a trend where we're just going to keep trading things in. Now, not to mention that my Ford Ranger is the same size of a 2010 full-size F-150, or 250. and the gross weight is probably close to being the same. I can actually look that up right now. Actually, I'll look that up later. I'm sure I'll get corrected on it in the comments. Yeah, I mean, like, it's just, it's insane what's going on. Like, okay, I am 110% for the future, but why does the future have to be so fucking annoying? Like, okay, push for the future. Our infrastructure isn't made for the future. Like, we are not taking small leaps and bounds to, like, make the technology more mainstream and affordable to every class. We're making it, no, we're changing it now, and you need to adapt with the times, because if you don't, we're going to flip a switch, and you guys aren't going to be able to drive your cars anymore. So you got to be able to spend $30,000 every couple of years to buy a new car or more, and, you know, and that's just going to be the way it is. Somewhere in the article, I was reading, I don't know what the woman's name is, and I should have just saved the article, but I'm sure somebody, whoever is watching, will know in the comments. She was saying that the way that the market is turning, that more people are wanting more luxurious trucks. I'm going to be quite frank. I'm sure there are people out there, and you want your luxurious truck, fine. I don't know a single person, especially truck lovers, who look at that and go, whoa, that's awesome. Read any comment section anywhere. Look at any article about this other than mine, because I talk from my own point of view. Look at any other YouTube channel talking about the modern truck, and watch them, and look at the like to dislike ratios on Dodge's feeds for the new innovations that they're putting in their truck. Nobody wants this. 10% want it. It's 10% versus 90%. And the only thing that I can think of for the reason that Dodge wants to push this, and not just Dodge, but all the truck companies, is the 10% who must like this must own a majority of the wealth. So they need to market to a majority of the people who have the money. So even if you're 10% of the population who owns these or wants this, then you need to probably have the people, you probably need to be the person that has 90% of the money, you know. Or is it the government standards? I don't think luxurious options like that are government standards. I think just, I don't know. Are they forcing innovations for the sake of innovation's sake? I don't know. I really don't know. Like, why can't... Let me give an example. Japan has their K-trucks. K-trucks are being imported into this country right now at such an alarming rate because it's a small pickup truck and it's good at what it does. The government wants to stop them coming in because they're unsafe. Are you kidding me? So let's just break this down really quick. Are little vehicles unsafe? Yes, 100%. Okay. What about motorcycles? Are motorcycles any more safer than K-trucks? I actually think K-trucks are more safer than motorcycles. I could be wrong. I mean, I don't know. As soon as you flip off a bike, I'm pretty sure your head's going to hit the pavement. But, I mean, what do I know? I'm not the government. What about any other small car? What about smart cars? What about any other small car? I mean, because just think about it from this perspective. If you're driving a small car, you're like a small fish in shark waters anyway. You know, you get in an accident with a semi, you're dead. You get in an accident with an F-150, you could survive, but, you know, given what the accident's like, you could still be dead. You know, you get into an accident with a van, you're dead. You get in an accident with another Corolla, or another small car or anything, like, you're dead. You could die. It's the having a smaller car always increases the chances of death. Because it just doesn't have the impact absorption, I guess you could say, as a bigger car would. I mean, that's just common sense. So for the government to say, well, these cars aren't unsafe, we have to stop them from being transported, that doesn't sound, that doesn't, that, are we in, do we live in America, or I'm confused. So you're telling me, and what makes me believe is because the money isn't being spent on our products. I want to say that it's because our money isn't being spent in our industries and people are going elsewhere in the world to buy their products. But at the same time, why would they be illegitimizing our products either, to where we would have to go to other countries or other places in the world to buy products? It doesn't make sense. It's like, why would you make something like that illegal? I really don't get it, because it's unsafe. I feel like that doesn't make any sense. If that's the case, then nobody should drive cars. I feel like you driving a car should be in the hands of the user. If you drive your car and you get in an accident and you die, I am sorry. But the situations like that need to be handled on an individual level. If it's your choice to want to drive something that you can appreciate and you enjoy, and you want to just throw things in the back of it and not care, you should. You should. There should be no reason why you have to be forced to buy new things. There's no small pickup truck anymore. No company in America sells a small pickup. You can't buy a pickup for, okay, I guess if you want to call the Maverick a pickup, I guess. I don't consider that thing gives off like the Honda Ridgeline vibes. That's not a pickup truck. It's a car with a bed. And it would be good in theory if maybe that the platform that it was on was good, but I'm pretty sure it's a 3-cylinder turbo, also hybrid, front wheel drive, Ford, and it's ugly. So, here's the thing. And this is where it's going to get called out on me by a lot of people. It's like, well, you want a pickup truck, but you want it to look good too? You sound like a stereotype, a double standard, a hypocrite. Well, you know what? Because older cars, older trucks, they did look good. Look at an older Tacoma. It's an icon. Look at an older Ford Ranger. Everybody knows what it is. Look at an older Tacoma, or did I say Tacoma? Yeah, I said Tacoma. Look at an older S10. They're classics. Even the 90s ones, even the 2000s ones, they're great. But you look at a Maverick, nobody's going to look at a Ford Maverick and go, man, I remember 30 years ago the Maverick was the motherfucking Ford Ranger. Nobody's going to do that. And the car is just going to die. I'm surprised they still make them. You know who I see driving them? The people who I see driving Ford Mavericks are Uber and Lyft drivers and people who aren't truck people. People who buy trucks do not buy Ford Mavericks. Everyone who I've seen drive a Ford Maverick, I saw a lady the other day who was just this very obese white chick driving a Ford Maverick. And she didn't look like she was into cars at all, because she had her her Pikachu sticker with her Fortnite statues and on her windshield with a squid plushie shoved in the back. So I doubt she's a truck person, considering the tires. It looked like the tires had never been rotated because all the brake dust was stuck to the front wheels. So I don't think that's a person who actually gives a shit about trucks. So she's probably not a truck person. There's a lot of, my sister lived in Boston. There was a lot of Ford Mavericks in Boston, and a lot of, I think it was quite a decent amount. My sister would always use Uber and Lyft. A lot of them, a majority of them, I'd say at least a quarter of them were driven Ford Mavericks to drive her around. And a majority of people who see them, they don't treat them like trucks. They treat them like cars with beds. They don't even treat them like cars with bed, actually. They just treat them like cars, and the bed is there. So it's giving the same kind of Honda Ridgeline vibe. It's not a pickup truck. It's not a truck. And, not to mention all the hybrid technology that's integrated in it. So it doesn't really help anyway. Yeah, I mean, it's just, it's not a truck. And that car will have, in the future, a master switch from the manufacturer, the government, that they're going to flip and say, you can't drive it anymore, it's obsolete. And that time is coming now. I remembered one thing. Ford, is Ford actually selling data on how fast you're going for, to the police? Like, Ford is tracking your speed? Is this a thing in the newer models? I heard about this. I have no idea if this is true. I could be completely wrong. I wouldn't doubt it. But if Ford is tracking your speed and reporting it and selling your data to the police, that's fucked up, man. Just why are we allowed to drive it then? Like, as if tolls weren't enough. Like, if you really, like, there's way more problems, man, that got to be solved than like, we're penny pinching here. These guys are like vultures, man. They're not letting anything slip by if they can make money off of it. They're gonna profit the air. You're gonna have to charge, oxygen into your truck, and you're gonna have to get charged by every breath you take. Like, it's getting crazy. Not to mention that these newer trucks have like puny little engines in them, and yeah, are they faster? 100%. All right, let me give you an example. My Ranger has got a 2.3 EcoBoost. It's got plenty of horsepower. Are they going to get a lot of high miles out of them? Yeah, I think they're going to crack 200K. I don't doubt that. Because there are plenty of V8 engines that don't crack 200K, probably due to not maintenance, but just the sheer fact of, I think that they could get past 200K, and the truck actually feels like it can move under its own power. It's like, okay, you put a 4-cylinder turbo in a truck that weighs like, what do you think? 7,500 pounds? 7,500 pounds? It's an all aluminum block. It's a 2.3 liter, and you got a turbo that's just like forcing the shit out of air into it. Like, they're pushing these engines to the limit for power. I wouldn't say efficiency, but for power, because say you tune one of these engines, like, I honestly don't think they're going to hold up. Now, do I condone a mass majority of people tuning them? No. But they're almost just like, I don't think, what was wrong with the 4-liter? Honestly, what was wrong with the 4-liter? Was it not efficient? Why? What is with the manufacturing? Is it cheaper? Like, I don't see it being cheaper to have to redesign and make a remanufactured assembly line of new engine types. Like, one of the only engines that I can kind of see the evolution of is from Ford, were their V8s, and from Dodge, were their Hemis. You can kind of see like the first generation Hemis and their V8s kind of moving periodically throughout time to get to the point of evolution, except for their smaller compact cars. The smaller compact cars are still newer technology. Like, did they come out with 2.3 liters in the 90s? I think a 2.3 came out in the Ranger in the 90s. Yes, but it was a completely different engine. And it was a completely different platform. And most of the engines of even the big V8s are different platforms now, but I think they've got a good narrowing down of the technology that they're in a good spot, especially with the Ford Coyote. Like, I think that's a great V8. That's a phenomenal V8. I don't think EcoBoost engines should be coming in trucks. That's just me. I mean, if you want to have forced induction, I mean, great. But, I mean, I feel like the cost, again, I could be wrong. Do you really think it's going to cost less money to remanufacture and reproduce new style engines to put in these vehicles? I don't think so. I think it's going to cost more. And not to mention that a lot of the things on these newer engines are one-time use only. So when your engine's pretty much dead, it's like, are you going to rebuild your EcoBoost engine? Or are you just going to try and find a new one to put in there? And when you do find a new one to put in there, what's it going to cost you? Like $5,000 or more just to buy the engine without the labor? Like, okay, so say it costs you like $8,000 to swap your engine in your car, which it will, especially when you buy a car, you finance it or lease it, you finally finish paying for the payments, and then the engine decides to blow up. It's like, okay, well, you already have, like, you bought it for, let's say, $50,000. Now you're going to be investing another 10 into it just to keep it going, and it's like, do you get another, $50,000 worth out of it? No, not really. You might not, especially because you're probably not going to buy a new engine, and if you do, that's not the only thing on the car that's going to go wrong. The more we're engineering the things to be complicated, the more it's going to cost in parts dollars, the more it's going to cost in manufacturing. You can try and fight physics all you want and push the future of evolution in the manufacturing process, but that doesn't mean that it's going to be consumer friendly. And here's the truth. I don't think dealers or manufacturers or the government really cares. Like, why can't America sell bare bones, stripped down models of vehicles? Why? Well, because it costs too much. That's what they would say, which is actually kind of laughable. And am I putting words in their mouth? 110%, because that's exactly what they will say. They're like, well, because we don't think it'll make money. It's like, yes, I agree. The dilution pool, why would you market to a bunch of poor people? Why would you market to the division of the middle class and to poor people? Why would you market to poor people? Let's market to the rich, to the ones who have a mass majority of the money, so we have to make our trucks more luxurious in order to sell them. Because that seems to be the only answer here. Because what that's doing is it's actually just making the situation worse, the division of the middle class worse. But they don't care, because the whole capitalistic mentality is we need to make profits for the future of technology, yada yada yada. I don't think it's for the future of technology. I just think it's for the future of money. Okay, so let's say that like you got to think about it. Okay, what's the end result here? Okay, let's just say all the big manufacturing companies in the world own all the money in the world. Then what happens to the company? Okay, well, you have all the money. Then what? Then what? You have all the money in the world. Where does it end? When does it end? How much more money are you going to keep taking? Because it will 100% get to the point where everybody already has your car, and the only people who are going to be able to afford to keep it are the rich. But what the rich don't realize is that it would get so bad to the point where the money is going to have to be taken from the rich too. So you want to talk about planned obsolescence? It'll get to the point where they're going to be having to trade their car in every year because of the planned obsolescence. Because that's the only way that this system is going to be kept alive long term. I'm not anti-modern day technology. I'm not anti-EV. I'm not anti, anything. I'm just pro-consumer. And if I don't see that what's coming out is consumer friendly, consumer friendly for people like me, let me rephrase that. Because as it turns out, there's a lot of people like me, because I'm middle class. I work a full-time job. I try and afford to pay for things for my son. I want to be able to send my son to, if he wants to go to college, nowadays, that's a whole nother topic. Whether the fuck that's good nowadays is beyond me. I want to be able to do good things for my family. I want to be able to have a family. And if I have to worry about having to buy a new vehicle every couple of years, that's just stupid. I will, if I can't get the mileage out of my Ranger that I want after, I'm going to try. I'm going to bypass the shit out of the ECU. I'm going to put my own switches in there. If something dies, like my ignition, I will hot wire the fuck out of that thing and make it work. I will make it work. But if it gets to the point where the truck just does not want me to make it work, and it's doing everything in its power to stop me, I guess there it sits. I take the plates off it, I leave it in a parking lot, and I never look back. Or I probably won't be able to brick the throttle because it's electronic, and if the electronics say I can't, and it'll just be stuck there anyway. I'll take the plates off it, take the insurance off it. All right, see you later. And then it sits in that parking lot until it dies, until somebody strips the wheels and parts off of it. Because other than that, that's about as much as it's worth. It's just a paperweight. It's garbage. It's a modern day junk utensil. There's only a certain class of rich people who buy trucks. So the only class of this I know actually for a fact. The only rich class who buys trucks they're not super rich people. They are high. I would call them high middle, very high middle. I wouldn't call them wealthy. These people still need to work jobs. So I wouldn't call them self-sufficient rich. I would just say that they are high middle, very high middle, to the point where they just need to continue to work their job to sustain the amount of money that they have and what they spend. These are the people who are buying the trucks, and they're catering to a small audience, but a small audience who has a lot more money. The time for the lower middle class, or just the middle class in general, is over. That could possibly change in America. I don't know. Hey, if you want to get political, I don't give a shit. You want to talk about political beliefs in the comments, I don't care. Just don't rip anybody's fucking heads off. Will Trump do something about that if he gets elected? Maybe. I think so. I do think so. I don't know for sure, but this is a problem that's going to take a lot more than 4 years, I think, to solve. Because you're going down so many layers of legislation that have been pushed on us by, Obama and Biden, for the strongest standards possible. It's going to take I don't know. I don't know what the future of that holds, but it's linked to it to an extent. There's no more. You own buy in early 2000s. I'm getting text messages. Buy an early 2000s truck. Keep it until you can't buy parts for it anymore. Buy an old car and pay somebody to restore it. Buy an old Tacoma. Buy an old Honda. Buy an old Corolla. Buy an old S10, a Ranger, and bring it to someone. You want to go get it painted, go to Mako. Get a quick paint job. Have them put new headlights in it if you want to make it nice. Have new tires put on it. Have the brakes gone through. Make sure it's not rotted. Have someone undercoat it. Make sure the suspension's tight. Have them maintain the engine. You'll be $5,000 into it if it's done properly, $6,000. And, drive it and keep it. Because there's no reason why you should be buying another vehicle or another truck. It's not exactly a truck, but it's technology that is incorporated in trucks, considering that this engine is super common, especially in Rams. The Pentastar, I was having a conversation about this with one of my coworkers literally yesterday, and I didn't know this. I didn't even realize it. I knew it was a shitty design, but I didn't think it was as shitty as I thought. I have to go soon. I actually have a track day today, which is cool. It's a Pentastar V6 with the 8-speed automatic that Chrysler put out. The pan on the thing is made of plastic, and the bolts in it are torque to yield hex or Torx bolts. I'm not really too sure. I don't remember. And not only are there hex and Torx, it's a torque to yield in an aluminum cased an aluminum casing case transmission with a plastic pan on it. We're overcomplicating shit. Why does it need a plastic pan? One, we say it's because it's cheaper and it's light, dissipates heat, whatever. Bullshit. That's bullshit. That's complete. I think that's the cover-up reason. I don't think that's the actual reason. I think that's 25% of the reason. The reality is that it's cheaper and that's planned obsolescence. Any type of plastic will deteriorate over time and become brittle. And, you want to talk about, saving the environment. I don't think, throwing plastic in junkyards is exactly saving the environment for our future. So, that's a bullshit thing. Take two. Torque to yield bolts on a tranny pan. Why? Why do I have to spend an extra $60 on bolts? Just bolts to bolt my transmission pan up. It doesn't make any sense. And why is the filter a one piece inside the pan? Because now you can't buy the pan for $20 and buy the filter for $10. No, now that it's integrated into one, the pan ends up being $250 on top of the bolts, which ends up being like $300. How does that make any sense? It's crazy. What are we doing in the sake of engineering? Why are we making things so fucking complicated? Why are we over-engineering the wheel? Can we take a step back? I love what Elon Musk is doing, and I'm sure it's going to work great. What's going to happen with the future of these things? To be honest, he seems like a smart guy, but I don't think he knows what's going to happen with the future of these things. I think he thinks about it a lot. And I think, for his push for the future of engineering, because he's an engineer, that's his mentality. That's his MO, which is okay. If you want to buy something like that, you should be able to. But that doesn't mean in order to, for the sake of having to buy something like that, why do you have to take it away from other people to have their right of what they want to buy taken away? Because, you don't just innovate, and think that there's no repercussion for it. When you innovate, you have to take into consideration every possible factor. And to be honest, I think they have, and I think they said, well, they don't really have money, so it's not really a big deal to us on whether we make these changes to our vehicles or not. And that's just it. We're not going to be cared about as much as because we don't have a majority of the money. And that's just the truth. That's just the way it is. And when I say we, I mean people like me. I mean maybe a lot of people who are watching this are well off than I am, or way more poor than I am. But besides the point, that's besides what I'm trying to say. At the end of the day, they're going to cater to the people who have money. And I feel like a lot of people who watch my videos don't exactly have as much money as these people that they're catering to. And, and this is just it. This is the direction we're going. I guess you can call them freedoms, our technology, our love, and even people who are passionate about cars like me is being taken away for the future survival of our civilization, for our evolution. Whether you want to call that evolution or not, I don't think it is. But I'm going to end it there because I have to go now because I have to be at the racetrack in like a half hour. So, peace out. I'll see you guys later.